come across the band at the top of your screen. All right.
Begin?
Yep.
Okay. So call to order. The Board of Denture Technology meeting is convening at 9:05 a.m. on Monday, June 6, 2022 at the Health Licensing Office in Salem, Oregon by telephone conference call. I will now call the roll. Ron Ferris, here. Todd Young?
Here.
Chris Chapman?
Here.
Grant Smith?
Here.
Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. For the record, public members calling into the public phone line are asked to email April Fleming at HDSOHA State OR US and provide your first and last name. Public and interested parties' feedback may be heard during the public interest parties' feedback period if indicated on the agenda. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. This meeting is called to order.
Thanks, Ron. Just for clarification for the recording, it is April.Fleming @dhsoha.state.or.us. And Ron, first thing we can do is get the agenda approved.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to make a motion for the approval of the agenda.
This is Chris. I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
This is Todd Young. I second.
Okay. Well, the motion has been approved and seconded. The chair called for a vote. The motion has been made. I call the roll call. Ron Ferris, yay. Todd Young,
Yay.
Chris Chapman,
Yay.
Grant Smith.
Yay.
Okay, motion carries. So for the reports, for the director's report, first thing I want to remind everybody not to send messages through MS Teams to each other. We think we have it shut off, but we had a board meeting and some of the members were chatting back and forth. So we just want to make sure that we don't, because it's a public record. One of the other things is Sylvie has left the office and is in Arizona now. And her boss, now my boss, had made me the interim director, and Trampus Shuck is the interim regulatory operations manager. The other thing we have is there's a new program called the temporary staffing, and it's where these temporary staffing agencies will be required to have an authorization to operate in Oregon. And that's whether they're located in Oregon or not. If they're sending staff to Oregon, they're going to be required to get an authorization to work in Oregon. One of the other pieces of the director's report is where we stand as far as board members go. Ron is in his first full term, and that expires in February of 23. Chris, second full term, and that expires in September of 22. And Todd, first full term, you expire March of 24. And Grant Smith also first full term, which expires in September of this year. And it looks like Derek has started reappointment process in Workday for you, Grant. Moving on.
Todd, you have a question?
I actually have a quick question about, and just
Sure.
brought up the Workday. I actually got a notification that I needed to do some more of that stuff. I've done them, and I'm not sure. So is there been a problem with the certificates not being transferred, or maybe I just need to work with Derek offline on that. So
Yeah, I don't know enough about it at
okay.
this point. But yeah, Derek, and if he's not sure, we'll definitely figure it out. There's resources out there for us to make sure
Okay.
that what you've done is been accomplished.
I mean, I love sitting for, a couple of hours and going through all of those, these videos and the PDFs. But I just
Yeah.
don't want to do it twice. That's all. So Derek, I'll reach out to you. Yeah.
This is Ron Ferris. I called that up on that also because it was completed those certificates, and what I got back, it says they need to be done annually every year. Yeah. So I don't know if it's new information that they assume to be in there, but that's what I got. That's what I heard.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, if it is the computer awareness, and those, there's like, I think 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to do it annually as well.
Fantastic.
Sent us an email saying he would be in touch with Chris Chapman about his reappointment too. He just sent the email.
Who sent the email?
Derek,
Oh, okay.
about reaching out to Chris about a reappointment or whatever his options are.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm happy to reset on the board if possible.
Thank you.
So
It's just one more point on those classes. If I remembered at the beginning, there was a question, is it for state employees or board members? Because there's a big window between the two, but it sounds like it's everybody that's affiliated with the state.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Anything else on Workday? And even though we're here 365 and have been with the state for years, Workday is a challenge to get in and do things with. So we feel your pain. So they say it's great, so we'll take their word for it. All right. So I'm on slide, well, let me cover a COVID. So the office is open. We have a pretty full lobby for the part of most days for people coming in, testing, doing over-the-counter renewals or licensure. So we are up and running at capacity. All right, next on the list for me is slide 10 on the agenda. And you all have seen these before. I can go through them or just ask you if there's any questions. You tell me. So slide 10 is licenses issued. Go ahead, Todd.
So I didn't have any questions on the licenses issued or the demographics or any of that, but fast forwarding down to the fiscal aspect, do I wait to talk about that, Bob, or ask a
Yeah,
question?
if you could just take a minute to see if anybody else on the license issued, license renewed slides, license by age and gender, that's all evident. The licensing trend, you guys are pretty static. And if there's no questions on that, we are on slide 14, the statistics.
Yeah, so my question on that has to do with it looks like we continue to creep up in the cash balance for DT. Although it looks like it was a net 5,500 last year, which is approaching kind of probably closer to what we needed to be. With the gathering of the new board, will the shared assessment continue to go down based on that? And then it looks like our small board keeps going down. Is that just due because there's just so few complaints, or we're just so good, or all the above?
So you have plenty of money coming in. And we do have a fiscal analyst up in Portland that I can talk with, because you're right, it's continuously creeping up, to get a better picture of the story. But you don't have much in DOJ costs. You don't have much. There's investigations out there, but we get them closed, and a lot of them, they don't go to, most of them don't go to hearings. I can only remember one case in the 10 years I've been here that we went to a hearing. So yeah, you guys are that good, and costs are staying down. So the 12,000 for expenditures and revenues, that should probably be a little closer, but I'll talk to the fiscal analyst about that.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
See what his projections are. Any other questions on that?
Not at this time, Ferris.
Okay. All right. We're at the regulatory report. Trampus. Somebody, hold on a second, Trampus. Somebody's got their microphone on. So if you're not talking, can you mute yourself, please? All right. Trampus.
All right. Well, I'm Trampus Shuck. I'm the, Bob was referring earlier, I'm the interim regulatory manager. So what we have here is the regulatory report. I don't know if anybody has any questions. The one thing that I would note is that we have 3 bienniums showing on this report. However, that 2019 biennium is actually closed. Those cases are closed. They're just still showing up on the report as being open because the report was ran before they were officially closed out. So what you really have is you have none open for the 2021 biennium, none open for the 2019 biennium, and we have 3 that are currently still open for the 2023 biennium, which is our current biennium. And I think it looks like we've got a total of 5 that came in. 2 are already closed from this biennium, and then 3 are still currently open. Looks like of those complaints that are open, that were opened in this current biennium, one of them was a COVID complaint, and then the other 4 were services provided, which is more like some kind of standard practice or potential issue with the fit of a denture or whatnot. So, does anybody have any questions about this report, or no? All right.
All right. So we are on slide 17, policy report. Tammy?
I got nothing. Not a thing.
See, Todd, you guys are that good.
You're that good.
Okay. Public and interested parties feedback. We do not have anybody on the phone. So I don't think you need to read that, Ron. That's script.
Okay.
Other board business. Anything the board members want to talk about? We got the cases under control, so we can scratch that off your list.
Ron Ferris, I got a couple things that come through the mail, and I don't know if this is the venue, but it was about the interpreters and health licensing office has 3 boards named in the bill. This bill being us as providers providing monetarily and on site interpreters in the future. Has that been discussed more? Do we have any information that we could move on to all interest?
I know what you're talking about, and I have my first meeting coming up, I believe, on the 14th on this bill.
We should probably add this to the agenda for the next, because rules, I think, have been written for this, which means there must be some kind of procedure or policy out there. I don't know what it is, Bob, but I could find out. I could read it more closely with what Ann sent out.
Okay.
Should have been on top of that.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, what it's saying is if you have somebody that prefers another language,
You have to
you
use somebody on a list, right?
may be required to use somebody on a list unless you're proficient in that language yourself.
Okay. And then, yes, I think putting it on the agenda and doing some discovery between now and then, and in the interim, keeping the communication open by sending us this, that's great.
Absolutely.
I
do
know
that.
this isn't the avenue to discuss why, but it's how to be implemented is important. And I have the highest respect for everybody out there because it's happening a lot in my office. Usually it's just wonderful, you know, with the kids helping and family, but they walk in with their phone and somebody on their phone on Facebook, and I'm supposed to do an exam on Facebook at time, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
And if that in itself is an interpreter, it's not from the state, it will just help us find out what we can do. So thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think probably immediately in a layman's sense, Google Translate and all that does not pick up dialects. So a lot of foreign languages have many dialects. So having somebody that understands and can speak it is probably best.
Yeah, we don't want to offend anybody, but my ears aren't that good listening to all the electronics. It's tough with the grandkids, let alone with the patient, you know, hearing their voices. But we're doing well. We just want to continue to do it respectfully.
Okay.
So thank you. That on the agenda and keeping us up. So people like Grant, who's on the other state boards, association boards, can forward the information to all of his requests that are asking. So. And then the only other second one was the other thing I got in the mail was on the continuing education and the highlight, they will have to track their required in-person continuing education to make sure that they comply. So I like the in-person, I like the classroom, I like the hands-on, I like the direction. It's just, it's just what I get from other boards that don't have to be in person to get a license, but you got to be in person to get continuing education. So I've heard this from chiropractors and even MDs out there, and I go, oh, it's tougher to get continuing ed than it is to get a license. And on the surface, it kind of looks that way. So it's in stone now, it's inked in that online continuing education is in the past, and we're going to go back to our wonderful organizations and stuff that put on the shows. Correct?
If those organizations are wanting to do it in person, yes. I think online classes will always be there, ethics and some other types of classes that you can do online, type book work, and answer questions. I think those probably will be out there for some time to come, if not permanently.
It depends on what your rule specifically says. If your rule has a carve out that says part of your hours can be in self-study, then that remains the same. But during the COVID time, most boards have, if they have a self-study piece, great. but if they had a requirement for in-person, that went away for during COVID. All this is doing is taking that, bringing that back, saying if you have in-person prior to COVID, it's going back to that. But if you have self-study hours, that's still fine. And that's something that this board can look at doing if you wanted to have some amount of hours of self-study, because I don't believe you do. But it's just going back to how it was pre-COVID. It's not really a change. It's just going back to what it was. But it's always an option to think about self-study if that's something your board wants to think about.
Okay, Ron again, and thank you, because I read that as all or nothing type thing, but it's just tracking your own in-person and adding that to other venues that you've also got continuing ed with, and packaging that for a total. So that clarification makes sense to me. Thank you.
No problem.
I have no further discussion on that. Thank you.
Any other board business from any of the other board members?
This is Grant Smith.
Yes.
I have a question about where we are with recruitment on the board.
We don't have anybody. We need people, Grant. We need
Oh, I
two
referred
public-
somebody and I got feedback that that person was being pursued and heard nothing since then.
Is it a public member?
No, it's a denturist, but
We only have a public member, two public members, and a dentist position open. So if there
oh,
isn't
I
a
see.
dentist,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
so they're probably on the
Oh,
list.
well, that
We
is-
wouldn't be. Say that again.
Oh, well, I thought that we had discussed that there was an open position for a denturist, but I was mistaken.
It may have been for a SHME. I know we were looking, I believe, for regulatory SHMEs for you guys. Is that right, Bob?
Yes, we do have one SME, a gentleman by the name of Omid. He's in the Portland area. We had a couple others that were interested, but when they were informed that they would need a place to do an examination potentially, and if they could use their employer's office, the answer was no. And so they fell off the hook. So we're still looking for subject matter experts. We could probably use one more in the Southern Oregon area. So if you all know of somebody, it's not a burdensome amount of work. We can.
This person should be, this is Grant Smith, I'm sorry, this person should be a licensed insurance. Do they have to be practicing at this time? Or do they simply have to be licensed?
Preferably licensed, preferably working, and licensed for a minimum of 5 years.
Do you want me to send out the regulatory subject matter expert letter again?
Hold on, Sammy. Let's see what Grant and Todd have to say.
Oh, I'm done here. I think, I've got somebody in mind, but if you, it would be helpful for us if you want to email us something about the process of how to submit a name.
Just email Trampus or myself or Sammy.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
So I have a couple of denturist employees. Would they be eligible if they fit the other requirements to serve in that role?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Wait, board member role or regulatory role?
Regulatory as a SHME.
We really need board members who aren't licensed. Can we focus on that?
Wait, what do we talk? Okay.
We need board members who are the public,
Okay.
and possibly employees could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then as far as the SMEs go, we only have 3 open cases, but it'd be nice to have one on contract in Southern Oregon, just in case we get a case out of the Southern Oregon area.
Okay. Thanks.
Ron Ferris.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in both of those areas there, I have somebody that retired denturist. He worked at Kaiser is what it was. He worked there for years and retired. And then he let his license lapse, and he's sad that he did. So is there any avenue, not that he wants to open up a practice again, but helping somebody that needs time off or can't? And then there's no really any avenue that I told him that I know of other than just reinstating his license, which is probably true. But in that same respect, if he was a retired insurance, doesn't have a license anymore, does he qualify for a public member?
Oh, I don't know, Sammy.
There is actually a little note in your law that does allow for retired, I believe, retired denturists to serve on the board. I'd have to look up specifically what that says. Give me a minute. I think it's a retired dentist or dentist.
And
And then the SHME part is really up to HLO. I mean, if Bob decides somebody who worked in that field for 30 years and is retired qualifies, then that person could probably do the regulatory piece. It would really be up to Bob.
so if he applied for an SME or a non-insurance board application, it would get reviewed because there might be a window there.
Maybe possibly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hold on, I'm looking at your law. My computer's slow. Here we go. Board members. Discipline. Okay, let's see. No, it's 4 active dentures. Wait. 2 members of the public. Where is the retired piece? I know it's here. A board member shall be removed immediately if is not licensed denturist or retired denturist who is licensed in good standing at the time of retirement. If the board member was appointed to serve, so if the board member goes into retirement during his board membership, then he can stay on the board. Okay, my bad. It was there.
So that means that they could be a public member then.
Maybe. That'd be really up to the governor's office to determine if there's enough separation in duties. Sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no.
Okay.
It really depends. They look at the whole, they encompass the whole board and like what struggles we have with getting people on, how many licensees there are. So they try to look at the whole facet. It might, they don't always carry out the same way. But I would definitely apply and put it, and then we can always ask.
Thank you.
And if you have public members, Todd, or a staff, have them apply and we can make a case. I can always make a case for something. I will do it.
Thank you, Sammy. Good hearing from you.
Always.
All right. Well, if there's no other board business, I think you can adjourn us, Ron.
We can do that. Thank you. It was good information. It was all moving forward stuff. That's always wonderful, isn't it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's no public interest party feedback. So adjourn. The Board of Denture Technology meeting is adjourned at 9:34 p.m. Monday, June 6, 2022.
Awesome.